Every gardening season starts with seed sowing. And if you have a short growing season, then the only way you can grow certain vegetables is to start those seeds indoors. But what about winter sowing? It's a method where you can plant seeds in plastic containers or milk jugs and just let them sit outdoors until it's time for them to sprout. Which method is better? Today I will compare these two, winter sowing versus indoor sowing, by discussing 6 important factors: price, germination, maintenance, hardening off, planning, and convenience. Let's start with the first one, price. If you want to grow healthy seedlings, then you need seed trays with plastic domes, you need grow lights and some kind of shelves to keep it all on. And these things can be pricey. Of course, seed trays are not that expensive, but grow lights can vary in price. Winter sowing, on the other hand, cannot be that expensive because all you need is some kind of container. You can of course buy plastic containers, maybe you have some laying around, or you can use free milk jugs. So with little or no cost you can do winter sowing, and that's the winner in the price section. Now let's talk about germination rate. Of course, with indoor sowing you can control how much light your seedlings receive, how much water you give them, also humidity level and other factors. And because of that, your germination rate will be definitely high. If the seeds are new and fresh, you can even get 100% germination rate. And of course, the older seeds get, the lower germination rate will be. With outdoor sowing, winter sowing, germination rate will be definitely lower because you cannot control any of those factors. So in this case, indoor sowing gets the point. Another important factor to discuss is maintenance. And it may seem obvious that indoor sowing requires quite a maintenance. First of all, you have to do repotting because from little tiny cells, you need to repot your seedlings into bigger cups, and they will continue growing in those until you take them outside. Also, indoor growing requires constant watering. Every day in the beginning and then every other day or two, you'll have to water your seedlings for them to stay healthy. That's a lot of work. Whether outdoor winter sowing requires zero maintenance. You just set it and forget it. Isn't that great? The only work you'll have to do is later on in the spring, when days will get warmer, you'll need to open up those containers and maybe water them once or twice. So winter sowing is a winner in maintenance. Next is hardening off. Every gardener knows that indoor seedlings, before planting them outside, you have to harden them off, which means bringing them outside first for a couple hours, then for longer, then you can leave them there permanently. With winter sown seedlings, you don't have to do anything because they are hardened off by default. They were growing outside, so they are used to all of the environmental factors: temperature, wind, sun, everything. They are ready to be transplanted. So winter sowing is the winner again. Another important factor in gardening is planning. With indoor sowing, you can time everything. You know how long it takes for an eggplant or tomato or a pepper to sprout, so you can plan how early or how late you want to sow those seeds and how big you want your seedlings to get before you can start bringing them outdoors for transplanting. With winter sowing, on the other hand, you can't plan anything. you sow the seeds, you put them outside, but you don't know when they will sprout. The nature will do its job and eventually they will sprout, but it's unpredictable. So indoor sowing is the winner in this one. And the last thing I would like to discuss is convenience. And by that I mean space, kids, pets. You know that indoor sowing requires a lot of space. You have to set up shelves, lights and stuff like that. Also, your kids, if they're small, may be curious and mess it up. Pets are also the issue sometimes. Believe me, I have 2 cats. And winter sowing containers can be placed anywhere outdoors. They don't take too much space and you don't have to do anything with them. So, to me, winter sowing is the winner here. So, in our battle, winter sowing wins. I liked the results from last year when I tried winter sowing for the first time, and I will definitely be doing more of the winter sowing this year. And what I'm planning to do this year is to winter sow cool season flowers, cold-tolerant vegetables, and perennials. But as I discussed earlier, there are certain things that I cannot plant with winter sown method. Worm-loving vegetables, if I plant them in winter sown containers, they will sprout eventually, but it will be too late for me. I have a short growing season here in Chicago Zone 5, so I'll have to definitely start things like peppers, eggplants and tomatoes. I have to do indoors. This way I can plan exactly how big I want them to be before I will be able to transplant them into my garden, which is around middle of May, because my last frost date is in the beginning of May, and I like to transplant my worm-loving vegetables when the last chance of spring frost is gone. So I always reserve my indoor growing space for things like tomatoes, peppers, eggplants and few others. I may start a few herbs and leafy greens, but I will just let them sprout under the lights, and then I'll transplant them into bigger pots and put them in my kitchen windowsill. So first of all, they don't take space under the lights, and another thing, I can use them right away in my cooking. So that's how I start my gardening season. Let me know in the comments below what are your plans and which method you like more.